I'm the Lilac Elf. And did you know that polar bears are left-handed? Okay, so I've been sitting on this for a while, but I just want to go ahead and talk about what I'd said I was going to talk about at the end of my previous video, which is the difference between the Don Bluth formula and the Disney formula. And there are some differences, there are some similarities. Let's go over them. This will actually be relevant for my next video, which is going to be my top 11 favorite animated movies, and actually not in the order of how much I like them. I wanted to do something a little different, so this is going to be with the list and everything. It's actually going to be in the order of what I think are the best movies. So it's like these are my favorites, but I'm going to rank them by what I think, which movie I think is better than. You get the idea. But I'll be making references to the Disney and Bluth formulas, which is why this comes into play. So let's get started. Starting with the characters and stories of Disney. Disney seems to like the fairy tales, the book-based, the legends. And when they do it, they seem to mostly tune it for kids, but putting in, stuff for adults, so that, because usually when kids go to the movies and everything, you're going to have your parents or whoever with you, so you want to make sure they're entertained too. Disney also seems to like the damsels in distress. Until the Disney Renaissance. So that actually got interesting, because when the Disney Renaissance, like about Little Mermaid and everything, are actually, yeah, probably about there. But you had these princesses or whoever that, the prince or the other main character had to save. And it was like after that, it's like, okay, let's have the girls save the day, which was very interesting, except for Cinderella. Cinderella was incredibly proactive. And if you've ever seen Doug Walker when he's doing the Nostalgia Critic editorial, and he's talking about, what's with the princess hate. And he actually says that Cinderella was Walt Disney's, favorite character, because, he felt like her. It's like, working hard, busting his butt, and eventually, getting the reward of being one of the greatest animated and actually movie makers, period. But yeah, like I said, the early stuff before the Disney Renaissance, the main female mostly just, wants a guy. And there's also something I found interesting, not a lot of focus on family. Family characters, family interactions. Bambi was a good example of this. It's like, yeah, you see Bambi with his mother, but then mom dies. You don't really see until the really bad sequel, which, yes, I have seen, but you don't really see Bambi interacting with his dad. And again, until Little Mermaid came along, there really didn't seem, at least that I saw, a lot of, family warmth. So that was, again, kind of, pre-Renaissance. After the Renaissance, Disney Renaissance and later on to current, but there was a lot more character development. You saw a lot more of, we're going to develop these characters. We're going to, give them really strong personalities and goals and dreams. We're putting more emphasis on, it's not just they want a man. They don't just want a guy. They want something different. They want something maybe they can't exactly, articulate. Belle was a good example of this when she's doing her one song. She's, not exactly saying, oh, I want this, I want that specifically. It's just, I want adventure. I want something I don't quite know of yet. It's like I want something. Like I said, I want something that I can't really say, but it's like I have this feeling in me. It's like I want something, which I've always liked. I really like that song. And that's also a lot of emphasis on strong female characters, the 1990s and onward. And like I said, it's, this idea, girls can save the day too. They can be the heroes. They can, save the prince, even as much as the prince saves them. And I really like that. And it's the really proactive, feminism, or girl power, to put it simply. And also there was a lot more family bonding. Little Mermaid, again, great example, because you see Ariel with her dad, and you see her, a little bit interacting with her sisters. The prequel does that a little bit more, and I haven't really heard a lot of people giving the prequel Ariel's Beginning any flack, but I liked it. I mean, I thought it really, it answered a few questions, like, why exactly was Triton, like, nuts about keeping his daughters away from the surface? I mean, I understand, they're part fish, but, still, it's like, give us some backstory. It's like, why are you just, like, racist against humans? But, spoilers, I guess. But yeah, but if you've seen the prequel, Ariel's mother was killed by fishermen. So, yeah, I can kind of understand why he'd have issues with, Ariel going to the surface. And also, as far as the family bonding. And like I said, some of my personal favorites, Lion King. I mean, you really see, Simba and Mufasa, bonding together, and it's like, these are lions, these are animals, but it's like, but they still kind of treat it, maturely. It's not just like, hey, these are, two guys, palling, dad and his son, palling around and everything. There's a moment that I like that, after Mufasa sends Nala off, after the first instance with the hyenas, but there's an instance I like where Simba's, kind of walking slowly toward his dad. He knows he's in trouble. One that's also really like a little kid, after he's, been busted or something, and it's like, yeah, I gotta go talk to Dad, even though I'm afraid to. But I love it. But yeah, so as Simba's walking, he accidentally steps into one of his dad's paw prints, and it's like, that to me is like, I mean, no dialogue, nothing whatsoever, just this brief, couple of seconds moment, but that it's that sort of thing that, as a kid you realize, I'm going to be fitting into, these footprints, these shoes one day, and it's like, am I ever going to be ready for that? And I like that, and like I said, just a super brief moment, but really good. And as far as family, Mulan, I love the movie, and here's what I've always loved about it, and it's not so much the girl power, girl joining the army and everything, it's the relationship with Mulan and her father. This is one of the greatest family relationships ever. Because, I mean, all Mulan wants to do is to make her dad proud. She wants to, be someone that he can look at and it's like, you know what, that's my daughter. I love her. I love, that she's this. I love that she's that. And I can understand that. I mean, I really can. And it's like, I know a lot, probably a lot of girls, can understand that. It's like, because it's sort of like, with, when you have a really good dad, it's like, there's always a part of you that it's like, I want to meet a guy that's like this. I want to, it's like, not quite, someone like my dad, but it's just, someone who appreciates my strengths, or, when they see me at my weakest, it's like they can still boost me up and, give me the courage to keep going, even though maybe I don't feel like I can. And that's really Mulan and her father. And favorite moment, hands down with this, is after, Mulan defeats the Huns and everything, and she goes back, and she's got, the sword, she's got the crest of the Emperor, and she's, her dad's, like, sees her, and if she's like, I'm in trouble. I'm really in big trouble. So it's like, here's the gifts. Here's proof of what I did. Can you just, not ground me? And she gives him these gifts, and I get goosebumps just thinking about this line. And he just, tosses this aside, these gifts aside or whatever, and says, the greatest gift and honor is having you for a daughter. That is something that not just girls, but kids in general, especially when you start getting older, it's really something that you want to hear from your parents, that they're proud of you, that they're, grateful that they can look at you and see this, wonderful, strong, powerful, kind person. And I think that's just, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful feeling, and it's a wonderful moment. Like I said, I love the movie. A little further down the line, Lilo, from Lilo and Stitch. And that's really just a fascinating relationship, too. Because, you have an older sister trying to take care of a younger sister. They're not, it's like Nani, the older sister. It's like she's not Lilo's parent. She's her sister, and it's an entirely different relationship. And they're trying to figure out how to fit into this. And it's different. It's a different relationship, and they're trying to figure out how to make this work. And I like that. I mean, like I said, it's something different that Disney doesn't really do, because usually if they kill, like, both parents and everything, there's like an evil step-parent or, something. But it's like, it's a life situation, and I like it. Tarzan, another example of the family bonding, which shows something very different, because it's like, it's sort of the adopted family kind of thing. And it's like, how do you fit in? How don't you fit in? But how do these differences, help you to fit in more? And then I have to talk about this one, but The Princess and the Frog. And again, this is a great example of, even though the dad dies early on, but it's like you see that here's a dad, he recognizes his daughter has a gift. Tiana is great at cooking. And her dad's like, you know what? Yeah, you have this gift. That's great. I really hope, we can take it, we can work with it and, get these dreams to, come to fruition. But at the same time, dreaming only takes you part way. You have to help your dreams and actually, put some work in it, and actually, that's why they call it working towards your dreams. It's not just, a dream. It's like a dream is a goal, and you still have to work to achieve that goal. And I that's one of the messages from the movie The Princess and the Frog that I really like. Now, switching over to Bluth, and this I found interesting, but a lot of his, movies, there were strong female characters, and even like in his earlier stuff, The Secret of Nim, one of, I think, is his best film ever, because, and that one especially, just very adult, and I'll talk more about this next video, but yeah, and just, strong, female role model, and also Bluth's movies tended to be, there wasn't as much stuff based on books, books or fairy tales. I mean, Land Before Time, based on history. Anastasia, based, oh, so very loosely on history. I do still love that movie. Next video, though, again, by the way. But yeah, but it's like, Bluth was a little bit more of, let's not go based on, let's go with new and original and what's unexpected, unconventional. All Dogs Go to Heaven, great example, because that one was actually a little bit more adult than for kids, really. And that's one of the things that I do like about Bluth. Disney does kids movies with some adult stuff. Bluth made family movies, not just kids movies, but for families. And most of his movies, except for like Troll in Central Park, maybe Pebble and the Penguin, Thumbelina, possibly. I haven't seen that one entirely. I've seen reviews, but not. But yeah, but it's like, you know, he's actually going to try and treat kids as intelligent, understanding people. And it's like, if, you know, kids have questions about stuff after they see a movie, it's like, you can ask your parents, you can get this information and everything. And I like that. It's like, I like that it doesn't dumb down to kids and everything. And also, here's the other thing that I like. There's really a lot of family bonds that are not just, you know, present in the story, but they're central. Secret of Nim, again, Mrs. Brisby is risking her life again and again to save her family. All dogs go to heaven. Anne Marie, you know, she just wants a family. And Anastasia, again, great example of this. But it's like, I've heard, you know, some reviewers say that it's sort of like a, you know, a My Fair Lady kind of story. I never saw that. I never really saw that. It was more of, you know, again, it's that family theme. And I love hearing that. I love seeing that. And also, Bluth has a lot of human characters. Now, let me explain what I mean by that, because I mean, even like the stuff where, you know, we're dealing with animals and whatnot. So let me explain what I mean by human characters. These people display virtues and flaws that everyone has at one point or another. These characters, even if they're animals, they act like real people. Land Before Time, you know, it's like these people would act like, you know, your friends would. You know, like, you know, one friend, you know, another, Secret of Nim, you know, a mom trying to, you know, bust her ass, trying to save her kids and everything. And it's like, even if the characters are animals, you can still relate to them. And I really enjoy that. And something else about the stories and characters about Bluth that I like, Disney does this. Bluth does not, at least that I'm aware of. But Bluth doesn't do this whole breaking the fourth wall thing, where it's like, perfect example, Aladdin, the Genie's song, or Hunchback of Notre Dame with the gargoyles. I mean, he doesn't do that. It's like, if Bluth is putting a movie in a setting, everything is going to be relevant to that setting. It's not going to be, you know, we're going to bring in, you know, modern talk or anything. We're just going straight forward. And that I really have to compliment him on. Okay, so that's stories and characters. Let's talk about music. And this can sometimes split people. But starting with Disney. Disney songs, really iconic, really well known, stuff people, you know by heart. A Whole New World, you know, it's like, Someday My Prince Will Come, you know, all this, When You Wish Upon a Star. I mean, even some of the earlier ones, it's iconic, it's well known. I mean, you know, you hear these things like from like 3 or 4 years old, you know this. And even if you don't remember the movie, the music is still ingrained in your mind. And that's, you know, really good. And it's really great that, you know, they can do these things. But here's the thing, is that especially when you look at musicals, and I don't mean, you know, like musicals, I mean movies with a lot of music in them. But Disney does this thing where it's like, as I'm looking at my notes while I'm doing this, but as I call it, a song for all occasions. Villain songs, comic relief songs, your I want songs, love songs, what I call cheer up songs, sidekicks, road trip songs. And let me explain what I'm talking about with these. First of all, villain songs, you know, pretty obvious. But it's, you know, like, you know, your main baddie has a song. He's got, you know, singing about how he wants to take over the world or destroy this or what have you. Comic relief songs. Kind of like Under the Sea actually is interesting because it falls into a couple different categories here. It falls into the comic relief song. It falls into the, as I call it, cheer up song. It falls into the sidekick song. So, yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, there's all these categories of the songs and everything. Your I Want song. And actually, now that I mention that, the best, you know, I Want song from Disney, I really like Almost There from The Princess and the Frog, because it's really, it's one of those songs where it's just like, this is what I, you know, this is my dream, this is what I imagine, this is, you know, in a perfect world, this is how everything's going to work out. And it's a really good example of that. You also have the love songs, and love songs sometimes have their place, but it's like sometimes I'm just like, I'm not quite sure how sometimes they fit in, or maybe it's like some of them sound a little shoehorned in. Now, the cheer up song. This is basically a song in a movie where the sidekicks or, you know, side characters or someone, it's like, come on, you know, buck up, you know, everything is going to be okay, everything's going to be great. Actually, a good example of this, now that I think about it, is the A Girl Worth Fighting For from Mulan. And it's really interesting to think of it that way because, you know, you're basically all these guys singing about how they want to, you know, get a chick. And here's Mulan, the only girl of the group, and it's sort of like, oh my God, I can't believe they're actually going to ask me to talk about this, which is why I always like when she's like, you know, talking about, it's like, what would she want? It's like, how about a girl who's got a brain, who speaks her mind, and they're like, what the heck are you thinking about? So yeah, I mean, that kind of falls in, under that category. Sidekick songs, again, not necessarily a comic relief song. This is not something that's meant to be funny, but just maybe a sidekick that gets an extra song. And then there's the other group that splits people, as far as whether they like a movie or dislike a movie, which I can fully understand on this, but the road trip songs. And these are the songs where characters they're traveling, they're trying to get from point A to point B, and there's a song about it. And sometimes it's just not necessary. Sometimes it works. I mean, sometimes, you know, it works. It you know, makes sense. You like it. It's got a good rhythm to it or whatever. But sometimes it's just like, why are you here? It's sometimes like montage songs. Montage songs are very similar in that respect, either showing the passage of time or, you know, it's a montage. It's a group of scenes, you know, usually advancing the story. And again, sometimes they work. Most of the time, I think they work. Sometimes they don't. Mulan, when it's again going back to Mulan, but when it does, you know. Be a man or whatever, or I'll make a man out of you. I like that because it's like, you know, she's in this situation, she has no idea what she's doing. It's a girl doing guy stuff, and yet using her own ingenuity, she figures out how to, you know, be as good as the guys. So yeah, that covers the songs in general. Then there's the scores. Now, scores I consider different than like the musical part. Musical part, you know, the songs and everything, that's stuff with lyrics. The score, we're talking about the instrumentals. We're talking about the background music. And the three main ones that I really like, I mean, and actually I didn't put this in here, but I do like the jazz thing, you know, kind of jazz, southern, you know, New Orleans thing they did with Princess and the Frog. I really do love that. Love the Hawaiian thing that they did with Lilo and Stitch, which is great considering it's set in Hawaii. That'd be appropriate. But as far as like that's just like background music scores, just the full-on score. There's three that I adore. One is The Lion King. And the only word, I was trying, when I was making my notes and everything, the only word I can think of to describe this really was majestic. I mean, this is big, it's grand, it's epic. And it just really sounds, I mean, everything's just, you know, it fits in. There's nothing that really seems out of place. Hunchback of Notre Dame. They did all these choirs and bells and the Latin and everything. And that, again, really builds with not only the time period, but also the location and just the feeling, this grand feeling that just goes completely all throughout the movie. And the third one is The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid has, it's more lilting themes. It's more, how's a good way to phrase this? It's peaceful, it's gentle, it's flowing. It's almost like water. It's the only way I can think of to say it. But it's like, you know, we're underwater, we're in this underwater world, so let's make our music sound like that, I suppose, is what they were thinking. The other movie that's got an interesting score that doesn't have any lyrics, and this is what makes it so fascinating, Rescuers Down Under, which, again, I will talk about next video, especially because this really is one of my favorites, although it doesn't have any lyrics. It doesn't have any song lyrics. It's just a really grand, big, epic movie that is wonderful. If they ever release it and re-release it in 3D, go see it. I mean, I would love to see this in 3D, because this is one of those animated movies that it's like, it would be even more powerful, you know, back on the big screen and in the 3D. Now, Bluth and music. And this is, I get a little split on this, because there's some stuff that Bluth does well, some stuff he, well, okay. First of all, again, Secret of NIMH, he kind of went with, you know, only one main, you know, one song with lyrics, and that's like right in the middle with a remix at the end. But there's more instrumental music. There's more, you know, playing background music to fit the tone, to fit the emotion of what you're seeing, and I love that. Let the music tell the story, not necessarily the lyrics. Let the music, the instrumentals, help tell your story. That, to me, is the important thing. But there's exceptions to this, because for some movies in particular, Bluth seemed to go the Disney route. Again, the Disney route with all the music, you know, all the montage songs and everything and whatnot. American Tail was like this, and this is actually okay. Quick thing, simply because this is relevant to all this, but anyway, a lot of people considered An American Tail to be one of Don Bluth's more depressing and serious films. I'm just going to say this right now. I do not. I consider this to be, quote-unquote, one of his funnier movies. Why do I consider it to be more of the funnier? Because, okay, first of all, comparing it to Secret of NIMH, and one thing in particular, Secret of NIMH has Don Bluth voicing Jeremy the Crow. In that movie, Jeremy he's not quite, I wouldn't call him comic relief. I would call him a sidekick, an assistant, someone to, you know, help out, but he's not really there just to lighten the mood. Dom DeLuise in American Tail as Tiger is comic relief. There's a lot of comic relief moments. There's a lot of, you know, cheer up, everything's going to be okay, everything's going to be fine. That's American Tail. Secret of NIMH, it's dark, it's serious. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if Timmy's going to make it. You don't know if Mrs. Brisby's going to, you know, if Mrs. Brisby's going to make it. At the end, oh my gosh, when the Brisby home is sinking into the mud. there's two very, very, very important key moments in The Secret of NIMH that I will speak about it at a later date, but let's just say that as far as emotion, and I mean like deep, raw, serious, oh my gosh, gut-wrenching, heart-wrenching emotion, Secret of NIMH is good for that. And American Tail is good for the, oh my gosh, how ridiculous is this movie? Don't get me wrong, I like it. I do like it. But it's like serious, dark, brooding comic. Serious, dark, brooding comic. And it kind of flip-flops. It's no disrespect to people who, deal with this kind of stuff, but an American Tail almost has bipolar disorder. It's like, I don't... It just... And that's one of the reasons why Secret of NIMH 2 offended me deeply, and I mean deeply, because I saw the potential that Secret of NIMH 2, Timmy to the Rescue, I saw the potential that movie had. And that's why that movie really, really kind of hurt me. The American Tail sequels aren't as bad. And I mean, I've heard some people say that Five Goes West isn't really a good movie. I think it's better. It's better than the first one because Five Goes West leans more towards the Bluth formula rather than the Disney formula that the first one does. And then American Tail 3 and 4. 3, it was okay. 4, I liked. And I'll talk more about American Tail, Secret of NIMH. I've got a whole other video planned for that one. But yeah, but it's just, that's, an example of, Bluth kind of, American Tail is an example of Bluth going a little bit more the Disney route. Another example of when he did this that I think worked better than American Tail was Anastasia. And like I said, I'll talk about that, next video, I promise. But I liked Anastasia because the songs made a little bit more sense, the tone made a little bit more sense, and it has the greatest I Want song ever. And it's Once Upon a December, when Anastasia's looking through the abandoned palace, and she's seeing the stuff that, it's actually hers. I mean, it's, the stuff from her family. And it's like she gets flashes of, flashes of memory and everything. And the best moment is at the end when she's, essentially, she imagines herself, dancing with the Tsar, her dad. But she doesn't remember. But it's like she imagines dancing, and it's like, that's really good emotion. And that's an example of a really good I Want song. It's like, I don't want, money. I don't want, royalty titles, what have you. All I want is to find my family, to find what it is inside me that I'm missing. And I really like that. The other thing Bluth does, as far as songs and everything, I don't know if I said it, but again, a lot of emotion. There's emotion behind a few more of his songs. And there's also what I call lullaby songs. These are songs, and especially one in particular, Flying Dreams from The Secret of NIMH. And wouldn't consider myself ready to have a family or whatever, but whenever I have kids, I'm going to sing them that song before they go to sleep. I mean, it's just a perfect, nice, gentle, song, very soothing, and I love it. It took me years to get it for my iTunes, and when I did, I was just so happy, because it's like, I finally have this song that, to me, more than any other song in any animated movie, is deeply personal to me, because it's like, Secret of NIMH and everything, you know what, you play that song, and it just touches something personal deep within me. And going back to the I Want song, and again, going back to Five Goes West, Tanya has this, Tanya Moskowitz, Fievel's older sister, she has this great song in Five Will Goes West, and it's, if you've seen the movie, it's when the villain Cat Arwal kind of, you know, hears her singing and everything, and it's just the simple, you know, I have a dream, you know, she's just singing. She loves singing in this, you know, this movie and everything, and it's just sort of like, this is what I want to do, and it's nice, simple. If you get a chance, you know, watch the movie and, you know, listen to the song. It's easier than me trying to explain it without, like, background or whatever. Okay, so formulas. And let's talk about when, as I said, when these formulas kind of collide. And at least what I see as, you know, maybe like, you know, the Disney Corporation was kind of channeling Bluth, or Bluth was channeling Disney, vice versa. Hunchback of Notre Dame. Disney, I like this movie, but I don't think Disney was the right group to do it. The Disney studios weren't the right people. The right people would have been Bluth, because I think Bluth wouldn't have been afraid to go a little, you know, serious, go a little darker, or DreamWorks. Okay, again, I keep saying this, but next video, when I talk about my favorite animated films, I'm going to talk about The Prince of Egypt, and spoilers, that is the movie I put at #1. Prince of Egypt couldn't have worked with Disney, and not just because I cannot confirm or deny. I've never actually, you know, noticed this, but I know everyone said it, but it's like the kind of anti, I guess, Jewish leanings. I've never noticed this, but I mean, I guess it's common knowledge. But of course, I mean, as again, this is, you know, opinion and just perspective based. But anyway, but yeah, so Disney, I mean, even if, you know, was, you know, cool with them, I don't think they could do Prince of Egypt as well, because I think it would end up more like Hunchback. You'd end up with this serious, out-of-place comic relief and everything. So DreamWorks was the perfect people to do Prince of Egypt. We're not talking about Prince of Egypt, we're talking about Hunchback of Notre Dame. And like I said, I think if Bluth had, you know, had done the movie, or if DreamWorks had done the movie, it would have been, you know, more serious, more adult, taking more chances. And Disney has this, like, overhanging umbrella of kid-friendliness. We have to keep it kid-friendly. We can't, you know, we can't go adult. No one's going to see it. Kids watch movies. Adults don't, you know, adults watch adult movies. Kids watch kids' movies. And sometimes I think that was Disney's problem, is they kind of forgot that sometimes kids do watch adult movies, and sometimes adults watch kids' movies, if only for the nostalgia purposes. But anyway, so there's that. Rescuers Down Under, I think, took the Bluth formula. They were not going to go with their typical formula. They were going to go with something serious. They were going to go with a family action film that was way better than the original. It worked out so much better. The characters were more interesting. The landscape was more interesting. The animals, I thought, were way more interesting. Sorry. Lilo and Stitch, again, I think was a good example of Disney kind of channeling Bluth, going more the family route, not putting in so much actual lyric songs. Just something a little different to kind of, change it up. Finding Nemo. Again, good example of, we're kind of going to, go with the Bluth, more of the family, family, but we're taking everything seriously. We're not just, making a kids movie, we're making a family movie. And I even saw a little bit of that with Mulan. Again, the strong, female character and whatnot. Ratatouille, again with the Bluth thing and working with the family formula, and we're not going to dumb stuff down. We're not going to make it silly. we're going to tell a straightforward story, and if kids like it, great. If adults like it, great. And then again, An American Tail, I thought was Bluth, maybe trying to be a little bit more Disney. And it's interesting because it said that An American Tail was Bluth's first financially successful film. And I think the reason he did that, again, I can neither confirm or deny this. This is just my opinion. But with Secret of NIMH, that was 100% pure Bluth. And maybe he realized that maybe people weren't quite ready for, just straight up his formula. So for his first financially successful film, he figured, well, let's go back to what I know sells, which is the Disney formula. So it's like, okay, I'm going to try and make this my version of a Disney film. And again, I have no research backing this up. This is just my personal theory. But yeah, An American Tail I don't think went over quite as well with that. I think it was a little bit too flip-floppish between comic relief and, serious tone. Anastasia did this a lot better. It combined the Disney, it combined the Bluth, but it took itself a little bit more seriously, which I thought was good. The Petal and the Penguin was, okay, based on the idea that there are penguins out there that when they, see a prospective, female they would like to mate with, they present that female with a pebble. They actually do that. These penguins actually do that. So it's like making a movie out of this, and it's just, I don't know. It's just, I think Doug Walker's The Nostalgia Critic said it best, where he said if you took a combination of NyQuil and Vicodin and decided to watch Happy Feet for an hour, it's kind of like that. I've seen the movie. I saw it, a while ago, and I never quite really knew what to make of it. And that might have been a little bit more on the Disney kind of goofy side. And All Dogs Go to Heaven. Yeah, they did that. Again, I don't think it was quite as good a blend of the kind of Disney and Bluth, but we're gonna go way more adult than either. Really, really go back, watch All Dogs Go to Heaven. Trust me. Think of it not as a kid, but as not as an adult, but as a kid, and count the number of times that something would have just made you go like that. But on the flip side, The Land Before Time. Now, here's why I consider this to be, the kind of blend thing, which is the appearance. It's like, let's make these dinosaurs maybe a little bit too cartoony, a little bit too Disney-ish, almost. But it's like we're still going to put it in a Bluth setting. It works, with the storyline and everything, but it's like there's some stuff I don't know. Maybe if they redid it, be very, very careful if you do, but so, okay. So that's what with the Bluth versus Disney formula. And again, these are two, great movie makers, two really excellent studios that have brought out some fantastic, work and everything. And like I said, there's stuff that they're similar at, there's stuff that they do differently, and there's stuff, that crisscrosses, and it works. Each, formula works for them, and sometimes if they do it right, they can use the others, Bluth can use Disney's formula, Disney can use Bluth's formula, and you can end up with some really great, cinematic gold. You can also end up with complete crap. So that covers that, and as I said, next video we'll be covering my top 11 favorite animated films in order of what I think, in the order of which movie I believe, movies, in the order of which, who's better. And on that, and I'll repeat this again on the next video, but with ranking these, it's going to be on 3 different categories. I'm gonna be ranking it on the characters and character development, the storyline, and the music. And there's going to be some surprises, especially considering with how I would personally rank some of this stuff. And why top 11 has nothing to do with the Nostalgia Critic. I got to number 10. There were 2 movies I wanted to put on, so I put them both. I think that's going to do it. I shall see y'all next time. Toodaloo.